Podcasts? Flash in the pan wannabe journalism. Mark my words, nobody cares.
Oh, no. Hey, Laughing Boy. Come on, open up, will you? I got a message for you. Come on, answer the door. Anybody home?
You asked interrogative questions out of my face.
It's gone.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Come on.
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now, Albert?
Hey, Laughing Boy. It's your old pal, ML Elric here with the Soul of Detroit. And this week we are talking about a topic that may make some people angry.
Ooh, great.
It's about why so many people are angry in this country. And joining me to have a very polite discussion about a very heated topic are Mark Fellhauer, Mr. Sean Windsor. Later on, we'll be joined by Professor Jennings, who will tell us the historical context of this or not. And Joe Zuver is invisible, like faith, like ions, like the dark web, but he's more positive than that, trying to keep everything together. So we appreciate you guys joining us on the Soul of Detroit. We are brought to you by all kinds of great sponsors. Royal Bryan Ford, The Butchery, Altus, Luke Nowacki, David Hall Financial will be telling you about them. And, of course, Manscaped.com, where you can find not just the Lawnmower 3.0 and the Weed Whacker. Those are personal shaving devices for various parts of your body on the inside and the outside. But they have all kinds of cool stuff, including something I think maybe Mr. Jennings would like when he's out there on the road. It's some wipes for sort of the sophisticated version of the horse bath.
Yeah.
He can just pull out while he's on the road. And this little ditty that I really like, the crop cleanser, which is 2-in-1. It's shampoo and body wash, or for Sean, it's body wash.
Why does it have to be a horse bath? I mean, why can't it just be an Elrickian bath?
It could be. It could. Well, you know, at Clark Park, there's no showers, so after the annual charity game,
You lick yourself?
horse bath is as good as it gets. No, if I could lick myself, I wouldn't be here right now.
Well, you lick your arm.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I lick my foes.
Can you reach your nose with your tongue?
Well, you just have to check my Tinder account if you want
Gross.
to know the answer to that.
Or grinder.
I don't know about that. Is that the fellas one?
I don't know. It's the one I heard you were on.
I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying I don't roll with the cornhole. But that's not for me.
What a great read.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Manscaped. Yes. Wow. Boy. So anyways, if you want to buy any of these great products, if you purchase them, use promo code ML, you'll get 20% off and free shipping. And if you make a substantial purchase, say somewhere around $50 or so, and send proof of purchase, like your confirmation email or maybe a receipt or something like that, to mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com, we will include you in a future show. You will be able to zoom in and basically be a fly on the wall for our pregame, for the whole show, and for our post-game post-mortem, where we basically discuss everything that went wrong, which often is longer than the show itself. So that's a pretty extraordinary opportunity, and the only way to avail yourself of that is to make a purchase at manscaped.com, which will help them stay a sponsor and will help you stay pretty spiffy. I think it's fair to say.
A couple of quick notes, if I may. First of all, is that glitter on your shirt there? What is that?
On my shirt?
Your left arm, it seems to be, sparkly.
It's so this is a hockey shirt, and what it does is this material keeps your pads from slipping.
I got you. And then, by the way, speaking of lovely products or swag, as you might say, I really appreciate this this hoodie, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's a hoodie. Right.
This
That's what
hoodie
the
here,
kids
you
call it.
laid at my seat. But as many nights as we've spent together, I would figure you'd know I'm not an XL, but a double XL.
Oh.
At what point? I mean, I know the lights are usually off, but at what point
Yeah, actually,
are you going to figure that out?
based on our Congress, I thought you were an extra
big-
small.
I'm a big,
But I got you a big
but the
sweatshirt.
hoodie's for the upper part of my body, if you know what I mean. So,
Yeah, I thought you might be.
yeah, thank you for. Maybe you just want to see my my breasts, and you want me in a small, tight hoodie.
Form fitting.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, there goes my mom's tuned out. No, you told me XL on the long.
It's always
sleeve
been double
t-shirt.
XL, brother. But that's okay. And there you go. That's probably an XL too.
Long sleeve T-shirt. This is our new gear. Long sleeve, sweet ass T-shirts and sweatshirts. You can get those just in time for Christmas, for Hanukkah, for Thanksgiving, for Halloween 2021. All kinds of occasions. Now I got to check my phone to find Sean's latest lie. Here we go. Look at, oh boy. Yep. It says double XL hoodie. Same for long sleeve. And then it says here XXXXXL on the hat. But I wrote that. So, but
yeah, you did. Okay. You were trying to project. You know what I mean? Look, I understand the way your ego is. You want to just assume everybody else has the same kind of ego, maybe?
So, boys and girls, what we've been doing right here is a little set piece showing you about all the hatred in America and how we've become such a contentious society. But it is something that you're seeing not just on this podcast and in this basement, but throughout the country, and it's something that I think is becoming almost institutionalized now. Now, let me get ready for people to say, okay, this is some lefty rant. This is people trying to attack Donald Trump. This is a backdoor libtard, blah, 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 all that other crap. But let me just disabuse you of that notion, those of you who still have an open mind, because just recently we've heard the conservative Republican Secretary of State of Georgia saying that he's being attacked by
his own
Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing this throughout the country. And one of the things that we're going to go through in the show today is the search warrant affidavit that was submitted in the great state of Delaware. So the feds could take a look at Facebook accounts and some other material involving a gentleman named Mr. Croft, who is one of the Whitmer kidnapping suspects. And based on the evidence that the feds have provided, you will be, I think, surprised at who some of his targets are. It is not just Governor Whitmer, as you might suspect.
It's everyone, man.
But people from all political stripes, including an individual known as Cheeto. And that's not Biden, because Biden cheated to win the election. This is a different Cheeto. So there's lots of Cheetos out there. So stick around for that, because you're going to want to hear some of the details from this affidavit. They are pretty colorful and pretty, I think, illuminating at how this hate is like a fire that once you ignite it, it consumes everything, including perhaps the people who lit the match. And some of this stuff, one of the things that drives me crazy is how people will use nothing to create, to justify their worldview. We hear a lot about snowflakes on the left, and I've been attacked by people who you would describe as snowflakes for stories I've done about Democrats and liberals. But I've also found people on the right can be just as big a baby. One of them is a fellow named Anthony, or as he may call it, Antony, because he fancies himself suitable for Cleopatra. I don't know. But anyways, I just made that up.
I know, yeah.
It's probably,
Why? What did he do?
Well, so I posted something last week on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at Elric and on Facebook at ML Elric. And I included some clips that the Washington Post had put together showing Fox News personalities in 2016 talking about how there's no need for recounts, there's no evidence of fraud, just get over it, you're a bunch of losers, the election's over, Trump won, that's that. Fair enough. But these same people in 2018 and 2020 are saying just the opposite, which is we need to count every vote, there's all kinds of blah, 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 and all this other shit. So I simply tweeted, check out these clips from Fake News or Fox News. I began covering politics in 1988, more than 30 years ago. I've had great relationships with conservatives and liberals and everyone in between. There's only two things I hate: liars and hypocrites. Well, Anthony, replies, was it hypocritical of you to participate and salute the protesters from BLM, meaning Black Lives Matters, and such groups which came after cops, but then say that Trump supporters protesting the election results was a waste of the police's time? So let's break this down a little bit. He's not responding to my tweet, which is kind of how bitches work. They don't argue the point that's on the table. They bring up some crap that they made up.
I mean, there are some assumptions there, but I kind of understand what he's saying. There seems to be this argument is people aren't treating crowds the same way in so many shapes and fashion. But go ahead.
Sure. So let me go back to the tweet. So I appreciate Anthony, by the way, thanks for the follow, brother. You're okay on that regard. You're one of God's creatures.
Because it's about you.
One of God's creatures.
Of course it's about you. That's why we don't have a guest today, because Mike's the guest.
The dung beetle is also one of God's creatures, but we're going to move on. So here's the tweet that Anthony was referencing. Trump supporters and Trump critics are standing on opposite corners of Jefferson Avenue outside the TCF Center and yelling at each other, wasting the time of Detroit police who have much better things to do tonight. So let's go over that. Trump supporters and Trump critics are standing on opposite corners of Jefferson Avenue outside the TCF Center and yelling at each other, wasting the time of Detroit police. So where do you get from that I'm participating with the protesters from BLM and other groups and saluting them? There's nothing in there that would support that response. But Anthony is a sorehead, and so what he wants to do is take something unrelated to the post, try and twist it, and make it into something that's not. So I responded, and at some point he says, you never addressed the issue. You never once said BLM, Antifa, and the rest were wasting the cops' time. However, you made a point to say it about Trump supporters. That's absolutely, incredibly not true. And this is the sort of thing that bothers me, is we can't even have conversations because north isn't true north. North is west, depending on where you're coming from. Night is day, up is down. I mean, it's insane. Where do we go from here?
I think there were a lot of protests that Detroit Will Breathe did that I thought to be a waste of time. I thought some of them in the beginning, sure, get the message out there, but I thought the police did a wonderful job making sure it didn't get out of hand. But I can kind of
Where are my tweets saying that cheering for any of these groups? My communication and reporting on this has been right down the middle, also pointing out that police have been put in a very difficult position.
I think the idea is that we'd rather them be in the neighborhood, but that's what the case called for. You have this you want to keep them to where they're supposed to protest. When you have a curfew, you want them to disperse. I don't know. I just kind of get sick of the whole, well, what about this? And what about that? And can we just ever focus on one issue? They're not always connected. They're not always, if you do one way. I mean, every issue is different. I can understand. I understand his anger, but I think, like I said earlier, I think there were a little assumptions made there based on your reporting, which is kind of the problem of Twitter, is that there's no context.
Well, wait.
There's very little context.
No assumptions. This dickhead is just flat out wrong. I mean, he has nothing to back up what he says, and in fact, the only evidence he has completely contradicts what he says, and that's what I mean. I don't mind debating these issues with people, but when people can't stick to the facts, when they can't see the truth, when they're making things up, how the hell can we as a society move forward when we have basically Holocaust deniers, flat earthers, birthers, anti-vaxxers,
conspiracy theorists,
psychopaths out there?
No, I agree with that. Nothing drives me more insane than conspiracy theories, just in general.
Speaking of psychopaths, Sean, any thoughts on this?
No. I'm just enjoying listening to you. I'm enjoying the timbre of your vocal cords, frankly.
Did you have a bad exchange with a flat earther?
I have them all the time. I have them
with
from
flat
the
right
earthers? And from the no. I just, my standard response to these people is the Earth is round.
No. And Mike, in all seriousness, I thought we were going to talk about sore loserism and hate and all this, but the tone of your voice is sort of, you're attacking this poor fellow.
I hate sore losers. So that's discussing hate and sore losers.
Right. But can we discuss this without an accusatory tone?
I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm stating facts.
See, there's
this
the tone
piece of
right
shit
there.
made some stuff up that's not true.
Shit.
I think that's defensible in court.
How bad do you think this culture of hate is?
Very bad.
Do you really?
One-on-one in the grocery store, Is it that bad?
No.
I'm with Mark.
If people would just get off their devices and get off Twitter and realize that that's not really the real world, it serves a purpose.
And there are exchanges out there, right? We have video. The problem is, again, Mark, to your point, we get little video clips of various sort of heated exchanges, but I still don't think even those are representative.
They're not.
One out of a thousand, maybe.
They're not at all, and that's the fault of the media because it's good video and it will be on TV.
Well, what do you mean it's the fault of the media? Sometimes it's on TV. It's mostly on Twitter or Facebook or whatever where we see these videos.
But it really explodes when it gets on, say, Good Morning America, the Today Show. Now it's in the conversation that everybody has to have an opinion on it when it misrepresents what's really going on out there and how many people are really, getting in fights.
It's electronic rubbernecking is all it is, right? In a sense.
I know, and that is the problem, but I still think the vast majority of people don't carry that much hate. I understand if your guy didn't win the election, you would be upset. It would be it 2016 or 2020.
But
I don't think that automatically means you hate the other side or you're a snowflake or you're a racist.
No, right. But maybe it's a little more nuanced than that even, right? In the sense that there are plenty of us that do get worked up. You see something like, but you're thinking about a group. You're not thinking about an individual, or you're thinking about some people that you think represent something. But again, you're not attaching a particular person generally. Maybe sometimes you're with a politician. Right, or maybe somebody
they're the symbol of your tribe.
Right, exactly. But a lot of times when you get worked up, you're worked up at an idea or some amorphous thing. It's not. God, I hate Joey down the road. Sorry, Joey.
Joey's actually several miles down the road, but he forgives you. But I think what you guys are missing is that when you see these protesters, and I've been out there with them, I've seen them stare at each other. I've felt their hot breath in my face. P.S. Try chewing gum, but Altoids perhaps. But these folks, these protesters, these demonstrators, and I don't mean this in a pejorative sense, but they're like termites. If you see one, there's hundreds, there's thousands who couldn't be bothered to come out there. They represent groups. And when you see what happened in Washington over the weekend, that was not just a few people. That was a massive turnout of people supporting President Trump. And then a massive number of
How many people?
Yeah, what do you mean by massive? First of all,
well, I heard it was 1 million.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's say it's a million.
It was bigger than the inaugural.
Yeah, we I think all saw the photos. What was that? 5,000-6,000, maybe 10,000 tops.
Let's say it's 1 million.
That's more people than were at the big house.
Still got 72 million votes, so that's still a very small percentage of, if you want to call them sides, it's still a small percentage of a side.
No, for sure. But to Mike's point, when people are standing on opposite sides of the street and they're protesting, they don't know anything about the person standing across.
No, but more importantly, Sean, they don't care. They don't give a fuck.
No, it's just a prop. It's all theater.
Well,
right?
and to that point, how often do you see people with their phone out because they want to put it on their feed?
Well, there's that, and then there are groups. I hate to say on both sides, but there probably are groups that are out there to stir up to get certain kind of video and
there's bad people. I mean, we've seen. We've seen people. So we've seen Antifa. We've seen them break things. We've seen some rioting. A lot less lately. But then you see people like Barry Croft. It is just an incredibly small percentage of people.
My concern about this is that this hate is festering, and you don't need to have a lot of people who feel this tremendous anger to bring about some very dangerous outcomes.
I agree.
Well,
sometimes it takes one person.
And I also think a lot of this is top down. In other words, it's the tone of our politics, right? This really started to change in the 90s.
Oh yeah,
I mean, some folks might go back to Reagan, but Reagan was amiable enough. Whatever else you thought about his policies,
sure.
But really, Newt Gingrich to me is where we're not going to compromise.
He flat out said they're the enemy.
Exactly, and to me, that's where it started.
I would agree. And the other side was all too happy to take on the battle, too, going forward.
I remember Ronald Reagan and the protests against some Ronnie Ray guns and people who thought he was going to bring about the nuclear apocalypse. There was, on the left, there was some very passionate hate for Ronald Reagan. I mean, it was very personal. Now, whether his policies were great or not, I'll leave that to people to decide. But there was some serious animosity towards Reagan. So I think it does predate Newt Gingrich, but certainly Gingrich is
no, that's not. People thought,
I got to disagree with you.
Me
Then who's the Speaker of the House then? Tip O'Neill.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, as Democrat as they come, Massachusetts, Boston, they could still talk.
Yeah,
and
they
get
used to
along.
go to dinner, right? Exactly, and some folks that were hard left thought Reagan was a buffoon or whatever. But I don't remember certainly the kind of hate the left had for Bush, George W.
Oh yeah,
was nowhere near what they had for Reagan. Even Bush's dad, right, was kind of a moderate. I don't remember that kind of talk. The first time the whole enemy talk, to your point, to me, started with Gingrich.
Yep, 94.
Yeah,
I believe those midterms,
and it was after Clinton.
Yes, in fact, my congressman at the time in New Hampshire, a guy named Dick Sweat, that was really his name, got swept out in the Republican Revolution.
Why not change your name or go by Richard?
So he did change his name. He was known for almost his entire life as Richard N. Sweat, but when he decided to run for Congress against a guy named Chuck Douglas, who was a former state Supreme Court justice, who was the incumbent congressman, it's almost impossible to beat an incumbent, particularly as a Democrat in a state like New Hampshire. He went on the ballot as Dick Sweat, S-W-E-T-T. And the former governor, Mel Thompson, a extremely conservative gentleman, tried to get him to have his name stricken from the ballot because he said it was an obscenity. And Richard N., a.k.a. Dick Sweat, went to court and fought to have the name Dick Sweat on the ballot. And he won a very, very close election against Chuck Douglas. And one of the reasons why a lot of people believe is because there were enough smart Alecs out there who said, vote for Dick Sweat.
Yeah, I'd be one of them.
Right. In a close race, if you pick up a few votes can make the difference, particularly when we've had congressional elections decided by coin tosses. The Al Franken Senate election took months and months and months to resolve. I think in the end, he only won by a few dozen or a few hundred votes. So he did change his name, but he changed it to Dick Sweat. Here's the other part that people didn't know. His college roommate at Yale was a gentleman named Timber Dick.
Wow.
So if you went down the hall, you had Dick Sweat and Timber Dick.
Dick's all over the place.
I know Matt Jennings right now is thinking how he can use this later in the show. Resist that urge, my
Just
friend.
be glad your mom stopped listening within the first minute.
She likes politics. This is all politics.
Oh, okay.
This is very sophisticated conversation.
It is. Yeah, you're right. It is.
You know what? Speaking of my mom, this is probably a safe time to mention Roy O'Brien Ford.
Yeah.
She bought a car there, still running. The bright red Ford Focus wagon, which
time for her to get a new one. She should go over
borrow
there.
all the time. I know. I got to talk to her about that. She's
Her son could buy her one.
problem is she's at an advanced age, still very vigorous, and as long as this ride keeps going, she's going to be happy. But if you are looking for a new ride, or service, or repairs, or even just a top-notch oil change, Roy O'Brien Ford is the place to go. That's where my mom bought her Ford Focus wagon. It's got to be close to about 110,000 miles on it. It's still rolling strong. She's not the only satisfied customer. Roy O'Brien has been taking care of customers for nearly 75 years from the corner of 9 Mile and Mac in St. Clair Shores. If you don't quite feel like taking the right track to 9 Mile and Mac, as they say, go to royobrien.com. That's ROYOBRIEN.
You want to try that again?
Get that? All right, we'll fix this in post.
No, we won't.
Damn it. What do you do when we leave here?
That may have sounded bad. You're not going to podcast that, are you?
ROYOBRIEN.com and check out Fast Track, which lets you choose your vehicle and options. But that's not all. You can pick your deal, lease, finance, or cash, get the value of your trade-in, apply for financing, and schedule delivery of your ride. If you go in person, Roy O'Brien is serious about protecting you and their employees. They take all the proper precautions to protect you and their workers. To learn more, visit royobrien.com or call 888-566-5851. Be sure to tell them ML's mom's son sent you. I will be heading there soon for a new set of tires. In fact, I'm getting a $70 rebate on those tires.
Out.
That's one of their promotions.
Well done.
Right, so, yes, Roy O'Brien Ford, good stuff. And more good stuff I got to tell you about our friends at The Butchery. The Butchery SL.com. Call and reserve your fresh Amish-raised turkey today. Customers are thankful for quick and friendly service.
He's running out of turkeys, too.
Is
so,
he?
Yeah,
good.
so go, because he donates one for every one that he sells.
That's true.
So, yeah, make sure you go and get him because he's running out.
I was thinking of donating one of my turkeys if they'd take a Sean, but it's two turkeys.
So stupid.
It's mother cluckers.
Were you speaking?
It's high quality.
When is he not?
The many
Good point.
Sean was stuffing his ears. The many other great comestibles in the store, including beer, soda, chips, gourmet foods, and spices. And even if you can't make it into the store to get your turkey, there's one more thing to be thankful for. Shipping is free, but you better act fast because Thanksgiving's just around the corner. So you'll get that deep chilled and delivered to your doorstep for no extra cost. As always, when you go to the butchery, tell Chef Dave that ML sent you. It's not just so they know that you know about them because of us. It's so you can get your free pound of sausage or bacon and an autographed copy of my book, The Kwame Sutra Ding. Call 248-682-COWS. That's 248-682-COWS for those of you who need the help. And get more information or visit thebutcherysl.com. You will be very glad that you did.
Best roast beef in the world.
Oh, the brisket? Oh, yeah.
Or Shay, like deli style. It's the best.
It's pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. So that's the butcher. Oh, and the macaroni and cheese.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Boner.
That was some good shit. So, okay. I heard somebody mention Mr. Croft a minute ago and talking about one motivated person and what they can do. I don't mean to suggest that Mr. Croft is the next Oswald or the next Kaczynski or the next McVeigh, but the feds certainly think he was on his way. And this is something where I want to try and broaden this discussion a little bit.
I just want to know who this guy likes.
Well, that's the thing is I think there's a sense out there that this is a right-left issue. Well, with some of these people, including Adam Fox, our local guy who's considered the ringleader of this conspiracy plot. Again, he's just accused right now. We haven't had him say anything in his own behalf, even though I've tried like hell to get his family and his lawyers to say something good about him. They are equal opportunity haters.
Yeah, they're anti-government, they're anti-authority, they're anti-police.
If we're to believe what the feds pulled from these Facebook accounts, we have no reason not to believe it, but again, this will play out in court. Here's what Mr. Croft was communicating about in April with some other co-conspirators. And this is somebody known only as Facebook user number 2, but he was speaking to Croft in a conversation where they both agreed on a lot of stuff. It's Easter and y'all president still has the country on lockdown, and Mr. Cheeto even declared a 50 state of emergency. This won't end until we have all their pieces in place, laws, bills in place to totally shred the Constitution and the will of the people. It's time to go on the offensive because we aren't built for this non-defense we've been doing. So obviously he's very anti-grammar.
That wasn't Croft. That was someone that sent that to him.
That was somebody speaking to Croft on his Facebook.
Did he reply to that? Did he agree?
So yeah, so there are many exchanges here. This same individual says, I monitor all these effers. I don't want any spineless, weak-minded people to hold me back when it's done. Croft, amen. I'll die in defense of the Constitution and God's people. I am not passive, Croft says. They go on and on and on. I will fight and if necessary, die for the same. I have no plans on losing this fight, Croft says. I'll be in Columbia, South Carolina on Friday. They say they want their governor in custody. User 2. Then they should go to that county's prosecuting attorney and place him under citizen's arrest officially. Croft, I want to grab them all and hold trial. A people's trial. I don't trust the system for justice. I know history. I'm very studied.
ML, do we know what is his major complaint? Because this is the guy that was pardoned, I believe. Wasn't he pardoned by the governor in Delaware?
Pardoned by the governor of Delaware for reasons that aren't quite clear to me.
What was he in for? What was his charge?
I don't know. I'm not as familiar with what got him in trouble the last time. I'm just looking at what he's talking about.
I'm just curious as to what is the root of his anger. I wouldn't think it would be lockdowns because he's a long haul trucker, right? Which is an essential job. I don't think many of them were laid off during the COVID lockdown.
Does this all sound like the plot of Batman? It's the one with
Dark
Bane,
Knight?
No. The one with Bane in it, where they hold court and excommunicate everybody out onto the ice. And
Well, back in the
throw the system
60s, liberal demonstrators held a people's tribunal against police brutality and things like that in Detroit. So this notion goes probably back to Roman times. I mean, the word tribunal. But these guys are particularly upset because they feel like government is standing on their neck, that they are being oppressed.
Yeah, a lot of people feel that way.
Well, but there aren't a lot of people who write things like this. Like
No
on,
shit,
On
yeah.
May 14th, Croft posted an image of Donald Trump with the status, "True colors shining through. Want to hang this MFer too!" ! Percentage symbol. I don't know what the percentage symbol is about. Maybe had a keystroke error there. But as I look at Governor Whitmer, that woman from Michigan, and I look at Trump, I see two people who could not be more different, who could not be further apart on this issue of how to handle the pandemic. But to a guy like Croft, he doesn't see, again, according to these documents that have been provided by the feds, and they are out to get him, meaning to prosecute and imprison him. So we have to factor that into this. But these conversations, I mean, the hate is almost blinding. This is something where people don't see Republican, Democrat, don't see laissez-faire, don't see government control. They just see anybody who's in power, anybody who says anything they don't like, and things like this. I say we hang everything currently governing us. They're all guilty. And what a deterrent. Rope. Seems
What a
like criminal
convincing argument.
politicians are start getting hung like drapes per public popular opinion. He also hates Hillary Clinton. Does this bloated piece of shit know that 95% of Americans want to watch her hang? Hillary Clinton, your noose. Now he misspelled that. For war crimes against humanity awaits. Please don't get me twisted. I want to hang them all. Not one or a picked 10, all of them. They all victimize God's people. I mean, this is...
So he received a pardon, and what he was in for was possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, assault and burglary. Those are according to the court records. Why? I don't know. I still don't know why he was pardoned. So I mean, this is just an angry, unhinged guy.
But he's hanging out with a dozen other people who want to do this. And again, my feeling is that this hatred, this fire that we have in our country it's not necessarily
healthy
Republican towards Democrats. It's not necessarily Democrats towards Republicans. It's not BLM versus the police. It's not Antifa versus the government. It's not the Proud Boys versus BLM. It's not the Boogaloo Boys versus everybody. Okay, it is the Boogaloo Boys versus everybody. I mean, it's
this loser is an extreme example. No? Agree? Disagree?
I agree with that.
Well, I would say he's an extreme example of a phenomena that is all too common that I'm seeing
you know what
more
worries
than I ever have before.
No,
go ahead, Sean.
I agree.
I just want to know, when's the fever going to break?
No, here's
when's it
here's
break?
the thing, Mike, and there are a couple. I don't want to just boil it down to a couple things, but there are a couple of larger sort of things that are happening to me that are at issue here with some of what we're talking about. One is this idea that, well, if you believe a certain way, you're not American, right? Or you don't count.
Oh, yeah.
To think of somebody as an enemy means that you're thinking of them as an other, and they don't, you don't belong in the same space. So, and I don't want to just pick on Republicans here, but the ethos of the Republican Party for the last 40 years has been government's not good, right? We need to shrink it. We want to lessen your lives in certain ways, and so on and so forth. So when you run for decade after decade after decade of that, you're gonna start to think. A lot of people are going to start to think government is bad, and so if you on the other side, then maybe you want government to do too much. So those two forces are competing.
Sure,
we're not even talking about policies. It's just a fundamental idea of is government good or bad, right? And that's been an issue. The other thing is we're on a course correction for racism and misogyny. We are, and sometimes we go too far, and that causes tension. to where people don't know what to say.
The political correctness.
Exactly.
movement.
Yeah.
But
There's a big
Canceling of people.
backlash to that.
Yeah.
there's a backlash to that, but the reason it started in the first place is because we did need to correct some things, right? And when we have gone too far in some ways, absolutely. So there's tension with that. You don't even know what words to use. You're afraid to say. So those two things, the idea of what government's for and is it good or not, and then this other cultural issue. To me, that's where a lot of this tension and this hate is coming from.
What worries me more than people like Barry Croft, because I just think the guy's a nut. Whether it's 2020 or 1980, I think he just kind of would have been a nut anyway. There's some miswiring there. I worry about the people that just unfriend and won't communicate with their friends and family.
Yeah.
Simply because they have different opinions on different issues. And I can't wrap my head around why you would do that. I think that's what makes it great is having differences of opinions.
Do you feel like that's changed with Trump? Not necessarily because of Trump, but do you feel like that's changed the last 4 years?
It might have had an injection of. It might be more intense now, but it definitely happened during Obama.
You remember it under Bush?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Or people would just say, you know what? Let's just not talk about this. Let's talk about other things. But do you remember the unfriending and people saying they don't want to?
We didn't have these devices back then.
I mean, you weren't walking around with Facebook, Twitter, social media in your pocket all the time then. But there were the feelings were there. I don't want to just blame it all on Trump. He certainly hasn't made it any better.
No, I'm not asking if you blame it. You feel like it's gotten more intensified under Trump.
Sure.
Was Trump a reaction in some part to Obama?
Yeah, 100%.
For sure. I know people who love Trump who, when they see somebody saying that we have an oppressive president, they'll respond, yeah, his name was Obama.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This animosity, this sense of persecution, this paranoia is not limited to any point on the political spectrum.
No, it's not.
That's what concerns me.
I remember it again, I don't want to get back to Gingrich per se, but I remember that taking hold in our society a little bit under Clinton to some degree.
Probably with the whole Monica Lewinsky.
He was just right. The Antichrist. Wow.
Yeah, and he was wrong with that.
It was, and I think a lot of liberals
committed perjury.
I think a lot of liberals would like to have that one back. By the way, not that we want to go back and relitigate that era, but
sure.
I know a lot of folks now that feel like, we were, we liked his policies, and we probably excused some stuff we should not have.
The problem is, it's not. I don't think it's going to get any better just because Joe Biden is the presumptive president. I just don't see it getting any better. If anything, people are going to dig their heels in even more.
I agree,
and he's incredibly moderate.
No, and what's happening, and I think you're seeing that with this Secretary of State in Georgia, who is by no means a moderate, is that if you're on the same side, but you say something that somebody else on your side doesn't like, now you're subject to attack.
Yeah. Well, and Biden, real quickly, is not as moderate as he used to be, right? He was talking about wiping out student debt. I mean, that's the idea that we're having that discussion.
No, and that was brought up again, I think yesterday too. But I just don't see it happening.
Well, he's gonna try to do it executively, right? Because of the federal loan program.
Good luck.
Well, I come back to what I started with, and I
he'll get sued.
I mentioned it merely as a cautionary tale. This fire that is around us, that some of us have set, and that some of us have fanned, and that some of us are trying to put out, can consume all of us. So we've got to be careful. And Mr. Croft, while I think it's really tempting to just paint him as this extremist, and again, he hasn't been convicted of anything, but he was convicted of some violent crimes before. And so to say this is just some guy at his keyboard who's spouting off, I don't know that's quite that simple. And I think we have to be very, very careful. Not be careful what you say, because I don't want people to worry that anything they say is going to get them canceled or destroy them. But folks, let's stick to the facts if we can. Anthony, let's stick to the facts, brother, so we can have a real discussion. In the meantime, don't go too far, because I don't want you to fall off the edge, brother.
Before we start debating, do you want to update us on two stories you've worked on in the past?
Sure, but I also want to suggest that there's another way for us to put all this behind us.
How? Let me guess. How's that? Maybe cracking a brew together?
Maybe a nice cold beer. Maybe.
Hey.
Not just any cold beer.
You never know where the camera is for those that are just listening and not watching.
Which is shocking because he
A nice
loves the
cold
camera.
Altus.
You know?
So,
He does love it. That was the conversation we had before the show. Is he likes to look at the monitor.
Well, he's got a camera on his nightstand.
I'm just
can
bummed out I
attest to-
can't see things from Facebook Live up here. You guys won't let me see the.
That's your fault because you would respond to every comment.
See it?
No, but he just would look at himself the whole time.
You know what? I think Barry Croft is right. The oppressors, all you people trying to keep me down. I'm with Barry. In fact, I'm going to lead
You can go have an Altus with him.
I'm going to lead the extraction team. But yes, Altus beer. Some say Altus, some say Altus, some just say yum. I'll have another one. It's the Detroit original that's making a comeback here in the greatest city in the world. It's the do anything, anytime with anyone beer. I usually say I'd love to grab a case when I go to play hockey, but we've shut down the rinks, and so we won't be skating until sometime in December. But I always make sure to have some stocked at home, and I like to keep it in the garage because it, to me, is that classic yard beer. Fun fact about Altus is it only takes 6 of them to make anyone a 10. We have a lot of things that started here in Detroit that went away, but boy, am I glad Altus is back. It's a lager that packs a punch and is seriously smooth and delicious. Go pick up some cans today for yourself and enjoy. Go to altus.beer and find the location nearest you. I promise this beer is insanely good, and you will be thanking me for turning you on to the big A. And I'm told that they sell a lot of Altus at the butchery, so it's great to see those two sponsors come together. Go get you some Altus. I think we need it now more than ever. And you don't have to worry about drinking too many and driving because we're all locked in our house. So that's, well, I guess you got to take the cans back. Anyways, let's just focus on the positive. So yes, a couple developments in the news. Last year at Fox 2, I reported on a Judge Tracy Green, a family court judge who was accused by her grandchildren of covering up their abuse at the hands of her son, their father. He was ultimately convicted of domestic violence, abusing his wife at the time and beating his children. Judge Green has since been basically had a complaint, which means it's sort of like being charged by the Judicial Tenure Commission, who believes that her testimony under oath that she did not know that her kids were being beaten and that she did not put makeup on her grandkids and that she did not that she did not know her grandkids were being beaten and that she did not put makeup on them to hide that abuse. They do not believe that, and they are effectively prosecuting her. Lawyers have a nice little setup because the Constitution and states run by lawyers where lawyers and judges investigate and discipline themselves, but she's facing some trouble with the Judicial Tenure Commission. And if you've read my stories in the Free Press, we appreciate that. Please subscribe. It's only 99 cents a month and well worth it.
Yes, and they're much more to the point in print. So I just want to.
There's editors.
Some of them are, but there's also Sean Windsor's story. My stories tend to be accurate. I saw some guy who said Michigan was going to be 7-1, and Harbaugh finally had the quarterback he wanted. That might not be worth 99 cents a month, but we'd still appreciate your money. At any rate, I wrote about a fellow named Nicholas John Bobeck Hathaway.
Oh yeah,
I said they were going to be 1-7.
Born right. You're perfect, but I don't think you picked Michigan State to beat him.
No.
Of course, neither did I. So there's some surprise we're grateful for. Anyways, Mr. All his life had been known as Bobeck, changed his name to his wife's last name, Hathaway.
How many Hathaway judges are there? Because I feel like there's 30 in this area.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of them. Right now, I think there's currently 4 sitting on the Wayne County Circuit bench. And that name is gold in Wayne County.
Yeah.
When his wife ran for judge in Oakland County, she did not win. But once they moved to Wayne County and she ran, bingo, she was elected, no problem. So he won his race by about 600 votes. There were some questions as to whether or not he violated some policies by not disclosing his full name on the ballot, on his campaign literature and so forth. I will be writing in the Free Press about a effort to unseat him before he takes his seat on the bench.
What was the margin that he won by? I'm sorry.
600 and possibly 21 votes, but very close. Out of
that could be easily attributed to the name change.
Out of about 100,000 votes cast.
He's no Dick Sweat, but I mean that name will pop out.
No, but he may be sweating because someone is trying to snatch this victory away from him.
For what? How?
Basically, the
Thank you, Mark.
State Bar of Michigan has some guidelines where they say if you're going to run for office, you should not do anything that may deceive the public or may leave some doubt about who you really are. And therefore,
pretty good rule.
If you ran as Mark Fellhauer Windsor, but your real name was Mark Fellhauer Windsor Elric, people would say, boy, I wouldn't have voted for that Elric asshole, but Windsor and Fellhauer are perfectly reasonable people, so I will vote for him.
Yeah.
The lawyers would say that you were not as forthcoming with the public as you should have been.
This is his married name. And
it is as of last year. I think we're coming up on the 1 year anniversary of him being legally a Hathaway. So so there's that. And also on the affidavit of identity, which is something that all candidates in Michigan file to run for office, you are supposed to disclose your full legal name or note whether you changed your name within the last 10 years. He did not do that.
Ooh,
so it's possible he could get bounced on that technicality. It has happened before. So a couple of things to keep an eye out for.
When's that story coming?
Later this week. So we are reporting some real news in addition to the fake stuff. And at the risk of being accused of peddling fake news, I have an update on Strawberry.
Oh, really?
Get the bell. Strawberry, you may remember, born Tamara Green, was supposedly the exotic dancer who performed for Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick at the Manoogian Mansion, was beaten by the former First Lady, and later was found dead under very nefarious circumstances.
Sure.
Well, as Charlie LaDuff has written, and as many of us have written, her death really had nothing to do with the Manoogian Mansion. There was no party at the Manoogian Mansion. There was no stripper who was beaten by the mayor's wife, and so on and so forth. But there is another Strawberry, and this is a dancer at the adult venue Body Talk Sports Bar who got locked up in St. Lucie County, Florida, after allegations of fighting other dancers and swinging a broom. So she was not just a dancer, she was a custodian. No, that's not really how it worked. This is a 29-year-old woman whose dancer name is Strawberry. She was pissed off at Body Talk because she said the other strippers stole her purse. And when she got it back, there were only just a few dollars left in it. So our Strawberry, no shortcake her, she is a Reds. No, sorry, that's some foolishness. She was
always looking for the pun.
No, this is some goofball who wrote this.
Okay.
Threw in something about what a strawberry is, as if people in Florida didn't know what that was. They even know what a hanging chad is, although those are gone now. She was ordered to leave Body Talk and taken outside. She reportedly stayed at the property and began fighting the other dancers as they left. The owner of Body Talk reported he fired Strawberry and told her to leave at least half a dozen times. Strawberry, who's a resident of Fort Pierce, was jailed on a trespassing charge. So Strawberry lives.
Wow.
So, and if you want to know about
what's she look like? Is she attractive? Just a picture?
No, it just says, let's see. She says
she definitely has a wild streak in her.
That's right. This is wild strawberry. Do they have wild strawberries? Yeah, I guess there are. It just says that she is an adult black female. We know she's 29 years old.
So the answer is you don't know.
I don't know,
okay.
But I have to believe that if she's being paid to appear in her birthday suit, she's probably found attractive by a certain segment of the population.
Yeah.
Namely men. So
I won't change my mind on anything, regardless of the facts that are set out before me. I'm dug in, and I'll never change.
Freight nut.
Freight two.
Freight nut.
Freight two.
Freight nut infinity.
Freight two infinity plus one. No.
Well, now that we've established that Mark and Sean are perfectly comfortable with the country tearing itself apart, let's move on to something that we disagree about.
Sure.
And that would be...
We're comfortable with that, Mark?
That was my takeaway from that last.
No, we're worried about it too.
Oh, okay. All right then.
Just different aspects of it.
Let's get right to Geek of the Week then, since we're all so agreeable.
No, we're with you. We are.
So our great debate is now whether we should just go straight to Geek of the Week. We're just kind of
by the way,
cobbling this together here in the Red Shovel Network.
Did anybody see? Speaking of all this and the hate and people getting worked up and we're about to talk about Jim Harbaugh, right?
Mm-hmm. We can.
Jim Harbaugh once said that football was the last bastion of toughness for the American male, right? Where you can sort of develop that and so on and so forth. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, the day before, Harry Styles was on a magazine cover somewhere in a dress. Mm-hmm. Ben Shapiro, the conservative commentator, basically took that photo to say this is what the left is doing.
Started with Candace Owens.
Yeah, you're right. Started with Candace Owens, then he piggybacked on that. What's happening in the American male? Tyrell Crosby, who's a lineman for the Lions, offensive lineman, jumped in and said, "Come on, women can be tough. Toughness is not just this idea of masculinity." So it blew up into this whole thing, and we're arguing.
I don't understand why that blew up into a thing. Who cares if Harry Styles is wearing a dress?
But that
doesn't mean men are going to start wearing dresses.
It doesn't, and that's Crosby. That was Crosby's point.
But that to me is just noise. It's not.
But people get
thing.
but it is, and that's the problem. To Mike's point, just even something like
don't
that.
Don't drag me into this. I was starting to think my stories don't sound so convoluted after all.
There's all this hate all of a sudden.
Oh yes,
over something like that, right? So in any case, I don't know. We don't need to debate about whether Harbaugh's tough or not.
So before we start, I just wanted to disclose that I'm wearing khaki pants, and the label is Wolverine.
There you go.
Okay.
So I got that for Jim Harbaugh, but
the point.
Well, my point is I hope he signs an extension because he's become one of my favorite Michigan coaches of all time, right after Rich Rod and the Hulkster. But I think there are other people who feel that it's time for Mr. Harbaugh to go, and based
100%.
on the results on the field, 6 years.
To me, it's
all
not,
his players. Time to go.
Look, you're right. The results on the field are the main thing, but there's a lot of other things too. It's just the program is not going in the right direction. He's got a year left.
Stadium's empty.
Well, someone will use this year as an excuse because it's so different and so weird, and let's give him that last lame duck year. And he'll probably get that if they sign him to an extension. I just think that's a huge mistake, and really they should start looking. They should just move on.
But what's different about this year? They have a new quarterback. They lost some players to the NFL, and they're still ranked very highly in the ratings. And within a week or two, we realized that they're frauds. This seems like every other Michigan season I've ever.
Wait a sec. I was never very bullish on them. I said they were going to be 4-4. I didn't think they have the talent. To me, that's ultimately the problem. But if you look a little deeper, and Sean, maybe you can correct me on this, it really seems like nobody wants to work with him. There's a lot of assistants that move on, and there's a lot of disorganization in that football program. And I think it's best represented by Chris Partridge. Do you know who Chris Partridge is, right, Sean?
Right.
Is that Danny Bonaducci?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Former assistant coach, moves on to take a job. I want to say he's
with DJ Durkin, right?
Yeah, at Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, and Durkin's down there. And he was the recruiting guy, and nobody's replaced him. And why would this guy want to leave to go there and work with this person? And why did Fish leave? And why did Tyrone Wheatley leave? And why did Madison, was at Ohio State. It's a little better. I think it says something when all these guys are like, I don't think I want to work with him. And that was the big knock on him, is that he wears out his welcome.
But these coaches are being paid more than almost any assistant coaches in the country, and they still have top 20, top 10 recruiting classes. How can you say that the talent's not there, that they're not bringing in top recruits? I mean, they are. They just bring in 4 and 5 stars. They turn them into transfers, whereas down the road in East Lansing, they bring in 2 and 3 stars and they turn them into draft picks.
So a lot of schools have, it's top down. It says these are the kind of kids we want to go after. Here's our plan of attack. That does not exist with this football team. It's more or less assistant coaches scattering across the country to see, hey, who can you get? And that's a problem. And that's why there's a lack of talent. And the talent lack is really apparent when you go past the one deep. When you look at the two deep,
Yeah,
three deep.
it's the depth is
No
been an
interior
issue. I
line.
think last year, 2019, they had the number one ranked class in the Big Ten ahead of even Ohio State. But in rankings are rankings.
Exactly.
But let me just I don't know if it's because coaches don't want to coach with them. Some have probably been asked to leave. Some have left on their own. Whatever. It's just to me, there's something even a little bit more fundamental. Can I read just a couple of paragraphs?
Yes,
here?
please.
I'm gonna
Channel
just a
your
couple.
inner
I'm
ML.
going to pull a mic here and read something that I wrote.
Just don't pull.
This
don't
was-
pull a little Sean with us in the room.
Okay, thank you. This was posted last night. It's available at freep.com today. This first couple of paragraphs of the column I wrote about Jim Harbaugh. Maybe Michigan football Jim Harbaugh. Maybe, excuse me, I can't see. Let me
You
take my
wrote this, right?
Let me take my glasses off. I couldn't see that.
Oh,
Maybe Michigan football coach Jim Harbaugh needs to take his shirt off or get back on
Yeah.
Twitter and call out coaches down south.
Yeah, maybe.
Or reach out to Madonna or the Pope or God. It doesn't matter which one. Maybe he needs to lace up his cleats and grab his sleeping bag and hit the virtual recruiting trail like a groundhog hitting lettuce. Yeah, it would be for show, but at least it would be his show because this version of Harbaugh is hard to recognize. That's the beginning of the column. I think that
There's our 99 cents for this month.
he's changed. A lot of fans notice his demeanor on the sideline and so on and so forth. But
he looks lost.
yeah, and
His team sucked when he
teams-
was crazy.
No, they didn't.
they didn't.
They did not. He got to the Super Bowl in San Francisco. He came here and took a team that won how many games of the year before he got here?
Is that
How many? Mark, how many games did they win?
Was it four, five?
is that the San Francisco Wolverines?
And they won 9 or 10 games his first year and played with a kind of ferocity. And then the next year, they were within an inch of beating Ohio State and basically getting to the playoff.
And then
That team played with tremendous relentlessness because of him. And his
Not his
San Francisco teams did that. His Stanford teams played that way. It didn't matter about the talent
Andrew Luck.
level as much.
he had luck.
It wasn't just
Stanford.
luck. Those teams hit you,
Mm-hmm.
right? They did. His early Michigan teams got into you.
and
They don't right now.
That was a big criticism too. Is like, well, all these fullbacks and this power football and this stubbornness just to run. He has relented on that. He has relented and let Gaddis run this offense. The problem is there's very little continuity among the coaches. There's tons of attrition. It's just
He
I
doesn't
said
have
let-
that crazed thing about him right now, and his
No.
teams don't. And his teams have always been a reflection of that. His best teams, and they are not.
I said last year. I said, look, we just need to accept that this is a 9-win team every year. That's what it's going to be.
Program, yeah, sometimes
Yeah.
10, right? Depending on if you get a good
Yeah, no, I
favorable
mean,
bowl matchup.
He's had 3 seasons where he's won 10 games.
Exactly.
But are they going to win the East? Are they going to win the Big Ten? It kind of reminds me of with Jim Caldwell. 9-7 isn't good enough. So what is Michigan happy with accepting? Are they accepting being 10-3, 9-4 every year?
Have they ever finished above third place in the East?
Considering where they were under Hoke and Rodriguez, and what did that stretch out?
But you know what, ML? I don't like that argument though, because what did it before last year? How did LSU do in the SEC West?
How did MSU do in the Big
No,
Ten East?
I'm not.
I mean,
That's, what
we
is
don't have
it?
to get- we don't have
Stop
to get
being so
outside the league.
myopic about the Spartans. This isn't. Believe it or not, it's not about them right now.
No, I'm just saying that teams with lesser talent and a lesser brand and less
lesser talent,
resources.
my butt, man. Do you know how many pros were on that? I went down to Columbus when Ohio State played Michigan, or Michigan State played at Ohio State. They lost their starting quarterback, who was an NFL level quarterback, not a great one at that level, but Connor Cook.
He would have been.
And
He got
they
hurt
won
in
that
Maryland.
game,
He's
and
never
Ohio
the same.
State had Ezekiel Elliott, whatever, and there were some questions about how Urban Meyer coached. But the point is, on both sides of the ball on the line of scrimmage, MSU was stacked.
Yeah.
Stacked with NFL talent.
Yep. They're
Michigan is
interior
not.
off- Yep.
Yeah, Michigan has not had that level of talent on at the line of scrimmage on both sides, and since Lloyd Carr was there.
So you get 6 years. You get Tom Brady helping you. You go see the Pope. You take these kids all over the country. You sleep in a treehouse with some kid after you take him to Blockbuster, and you can't finish above third in the Big Ten East. What more do we need to know? That's it. Jim
He was-
Harbaugh,
Go ahead.
Dunzo.
I don't know. He was 6
Well,
inches from
I
the
agree-
playoff
I
his
agree with you for
second
different
year.
reasons.
Think about how differently
Sure.
we'd think about this. That's how random sports can be. And I know if whatever, but I think that's what's been shocking is that they were they ascended, to use a word he loves to use, right away, and they were really good the second year, like really good.
Yeah.
And then it's just been downhill. You know?
And it doesn't look any better. Not on the field and certainly not off the field.
So where's the debate here? Is there anybody saying we should keep this joker around?
I think they should keep him around because
Okay,
you know what? People complained about Lloyd Carr that he wasn't going to win a title again, and Ohio State was
though.
Jim Tressel kind of.
Harbaugh's not going to win a title.
No, but Jim
Except
Tressel
for biggest
kinda
waste of
passed him a little
taxpayer
bit,
money.
right? He'd started losing
Not
to Ohio
taxpayer
State
money,
those
but
last
that's
few years. Michigan fans just need to be careful. They didn't want
Don't say it's taxpayer money. That drives me nuts.
they didn't want Lloyd Carr.
It's taxpayer money.
It's not. It's a self-sufficient run athletic department separate from the rest of the university.
It's a public institution. Those
public
dollars they bring
institution.
in could be put somewhere else to save us other taxpayer dollars.
You really believe that?
I do.
Absolutely.
He's right. Technically, he's
And they
right.
could pay the
There we go.
players.
I'm right. That's a
No,
great debate.
that is true. That's for sure.
Damn it. We had a shot there.
Oh man,
We had a shot.
inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
There's nothing geeky about aspiring to financial security. And there's nothing dorky about admitting that you aren't so good at managing your own dough. So I'm going to make a confession.
Yeah.
And you may not be aware of this, but my
what is-
Kilpatrick royalties don't kick in until the 8th mention of any combination of the words Kwame, Kilpatrick, or Pulitzer. And I rarely mention Pulitzer, but I think we've probably hit Kwame and Kilpatrick a few times already. Throw in Strawberry for good measure. So my financial future is looking pretty sweet.
Wow.
Like a strawberry.
Jeez.
If you'd like a similar arrangement, you can either get your own damn Pulitzer or maybe, just maybe, call our pal Luke Nowacki with Pinnacle Wealth Strategies. He can help you find a way to provide for your retirement future that may or may not involve reading through Merrill's sex messages at the Anchor Bar or angry Facebook posts in a federal wiretap affidavit or search warrant. Call Luke at 248. That wasn't in there. Sorry.
Okay. Clearly it wasn't.
Correct that. Call Luke at 248-663-4748. You can also find a link to his website on our website. Let Luke know where you found out where to go. That's from your pals at ML Soul of Detroit. And when you talk to Luke, just remember, he will make it all about you, Strawberry.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates, Inc., member FINRA-SIPC. Royal Alliance Associates, Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Royal Alliance Associates, Inc.
You know, Luke keeps that hairdo kind of high and tight. I wonder if he's using the Lawnmower 3.0.
Maybe. On his head?
It works everywhere.
Oh.
It's
definitely using it on his pubes.
made for.
I don't know.
That's
what it's for.
Also not in the copy. I did not see that written there. It's strong enough for made for a man, but strong enough for a lady. That's manscaped.com.
Who's going first? You want me to go first?
It's up to you. I'm happy to go first, last, or anyway. I'm
You're going to go last.
having won the debate and our earlier conversation.
Let me ask Sean. Sean, who should go first? You or me?
I'll go.
Because we know ML will be last.
Damn it.
I'll go.
Go ahead.
But first in the hearts of his countrymen, except for Anthony.
I want to keep this quick. I'm going to try to do the opposite of what Mike does, although I'm already doing exactly what Mike does.
I was going to say, boy,
with this intro right here.
This is Stockholm Syndrome if ever I've seen it.
Okay,
a really obscure reference.
This
no
is
one
simple. Dr. Scott Atlas, a radiologist, I guess, right?
Neuroradiologist. from Stanford,
Neuroradiologist,
yep.
right? At Stanford, part of the Hoover Institute out there, a conservative think tank. By the way, Stanford University distanced itself from him
And from
yesterday
Harbaugh.
because of this. He tweeted out after Governor Whitmer, under the public health code, said we need to shut down for 3 weeks starting tomorrow, which is Wednesday, right? Not as quite as fully as we did back in the spring, but in any case, he tweeted out, the only way this stops is if people rise up. You get what you accept. Freedom matters. Step up. He tried to backtrack, as you guys know, and said, I'm just bad at Twitter. It's not what I meant. I didn't mean violence, right? He was trying to say protest. He could have just said protest or whatever.
I love the
But to use that
I love the I'm bad at Twitter excuse. I gotta start using
to use
that.
the idea that to suggest, understand he's a doctor, right?
Yeah.
He knows full well what those words mean. Meanwhile, as I think Mike pointed out earlier, right, he's been questioning the efficacy of masks and a lot of other science on the whole COVID-19 and how we're trying to control it all along, which is partly why he was brought into the White House, because he aligned with Trump's views. I don't want to get into Trump right now. But the idea that he's going to send that out, rise up, when Governor Whitmer's there was already a plot to sort of go get her. I can't believe that's where we're at. It gets back to your your hate conversation, Mike. But anyway, Scott Atlas is Geek of the Week's probably not strong enough, but he's the Geek of the Week.
I'm going to do a little closer to home, and I'm going to go with Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan for his comments he said about what?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well,
he's listening right now.
Well, good. I hope he
balling up his little fists.
Well, because he threw a lot of the blame at the suburbanites for the reason shutdown needs to happen in Detroit, because Detroit's positivity rate has been pretty flat, pretty good. But for him to say that he goes to Oakland County and doesn't see people wearing masks is just wrong. It's just ludicrous. I mean, I live in Oakland County. Everywhere I go, people are wearing masks. But more importantly, why? Why is he saying this? Why is this just because you're mayor of Detroit, you got to attack the suburbanites? I think this is just really stupid and unnecessary more than anything.
This is called the reverse Coleman, because for years the suburbs railed against Coleman Young for political benefit. Now the mayor of Detroit's railing against the suburbs for political benefit.
Why is it always the city versus the suburbs? It was unnecessary.
The whole divide in our country, getting back to the hate, right?
It's unnecessary.
I
just kind of pissed me off when the quote is, you drive through any of the suburbs, you see people out without masks. In the city of Detroit, by and large, our folks have taken this very, very seriously.
Did you turn the heat up? And I don't mean with your words.
No, are you cold?
No, it just got
nice and toasty.
It got toasty in here, and Mike's not even talking.
It's the efficacy. I would have used that word, by the way.
I know that was rather El Ricky.
You said the effectiveness of the map, but I would like it. Way to go. Well chosen.
A fucking 2-cent word. Use the language there.
I'm appalled.
Is finally getting to get you smiling and showing a little admiration my way, all because of a bullshit word. That's nice.
People thought you were a prehistoric beast, and I said yes. He's a thesaurus.
So since Sean and I aren't going to win.
Everybody wins with Geek of the Week. Even the geeks get something. Choice. No, this is.
Do you have a sleeping bag,
share.
By the way, for this session?
Well, I'm gonna
get cozy.
I'm merely going to, and I guess this was not supposed to be an all COVID segment, but after months of resisting recommendations that he order the people of North Dakota to wear masks and limit the size of gatherings, Governor Doug Burgum, with the sweet rug, reversed course in a desperate bid to stem a coronavirus surge that is among the worst in the U.S. and that threatens to overwhelm the state's hospitals. In fact, he told sick doctors and nurses they can go to work as long as they're not really sick. So as long as you're asymptomatic, you can go work on people, which I'm sure makes people they run into in the cafeteria just feel so good. At any rate, North Dakota had relatively few COVID-19 cases in the spring, but the disease spread rapidly over the summer, and the state now has the highest infection rate in the nation. For months, healthcare professionals and some community leaders pleaded with Burgum to impose a mask order. Instead, he only recommended that they wear masks. So we'll give him something for that. He noted their efficacy, which means effective. Last month, however, Dr. Deborah Birx, she of the Great Scarfs, who is also the White House coronavirus response coordinator, described the state's mask use and COVID-19 protocols as the worst she had seen anywhere in the country. Now almost every ICU bed in North Dakota is filled.
Yikes.
In a news release issued Saturday, along with his mandatory mask order, Burgum said North Dakota doctors and nurses need our help, and they need it now. No, Your Excellency, they needed your help many months ago. And the same goes for you, Kim Reynolds, governor of Iowa, who's finally getting with the program. You're the reasons I can't skate anymore. You're the reasons I can't go to bars as much as I like to, or at least not inside.
Or in Iowa, apparently.
Yes, and that is why you, my friends, are my Geeks of the Week.
The kid's so soft.
I don't care for that guy. Me neither. Too soft.
I'm gonna pretend like you didn't just make my dick go soft.
From geeks to Greeks, ancient historians like Aeschylus, or as he would probably say, Aeschylus, and then titter juvenilely, we have Mr. Matt Jennings all swagged out in his butchery finery with this week's look at soft history.
I haven't seen him yet. Where's he
there
at?
He's got the gator. By the way, gators are best doubled over because they're not quite as effective as 3-ply masks, which we also sell, but they're damn sexy.
If you say so.
Yes.
Hey, Maddie.
Look at that. We got a good connection.
I can't see you, Matt, but I assume you're there. They don't let me have a monitor. I've been looking at Manscaped photo the whole hour.
You got to figure out which one you're going to choose.
Can I interest you in a little crop cleanser?
Mike's been talking.
It's eucalyptus-y good.
Oh, now I see a butchery. Okay.
Professor.
You guys doing all right?
Take the chalk and start to talk.
Okay. All right. I am kind of offended that you would say I would make a dick joke. I've decided I don't want to be the dick joke guy, which is why
It's in your
I'm
intro.
not going to use a dick as a crutch anymore, which is why I bought a cane.
It's in your intro.
Okay. In 1973, President Richard Nixon insists that he's
no
not
dick
a crook.
jokes.
Nixon.
Yeah, tricky dick. Okay, no dick jokes. Go ahead.
When his successor, Gerald Ford, asked him if he was serious, Tricky Dick, with a shit-eating grin, said, "Pardon me?" It's a thinker.
Nah, it wasn't that much.
Let that ruminate.
As the president, Jerry Ford had the power to pardon.
Yeah.
And he
All right, like Sean's lunch, I'm going to move on. This week in soft history, Vice President Dan Quayle said, "The essence of the vice presidency is preparedness." And it showed. During his 4 years in office, he met with President Bush daily and toured 47 countries. And what he was most prepared for was fading into obscurity.
Which he did.
He was like dropped like a hot potato-y.
That was a good one.
Oh, well, thanks. You know what? When I become a famous comedian, my goal is to get a whole bunch of people in a room.
And then say that was a good one?
Funny. No, when I say something funny, I want them to go, "Hey, I like that one. That was cute," instead of laughing.
I know. It's
So
the worst.
two thoughts on that. When we have the COVID vaccine, they still may prevent more than 10 people from coming into a room where you're telling jokes. And by the time you become a famous comedian, I think I will have been dead for 300 years.
See, I am still helping the world. In 1996, bird expert Tony Silva was sentenced to 7 years in prison for smuggling exotic parrots. Sadly, many of the macaws died before reaching the U.S., because of lack of food, water, and fresh air. But mostly it was due to their mode of transport. Up Richard Gere's ass.
It is a bird of another feather.
Can't believe that Mark didn't laugh at that.
He's just trying to
All
deny
right.
you the mirth to which you are entitled.
I just want to see if Sean
Finally.
was. I want to see if Sean was going to laugh first.
No.
Yeah.
Well, Sean doesn't laugh unless you tickle him. This week,
Matt.
Herman Melville
Good one,
made
Matt.
history.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one, man.
Hey, this is a dick joke. Is this a dick joke coming up, Herman Melville?
Yeah, it's a big dick joke. This week, Herman Melville made history when he published his landmark titled Moby Dick. But the printer, McDonald's Publishing, said it would probably sell better if it was called Filet of Fish.
Oh boy, that was bad.
Well, I mean, they filleted the fish at the
No,
end.
I know.
It's McDonald's Publishing. Hey, ML, will you explain
No,
my jokes?
I
please?
got the
I'm tired
joke.
of
Yeah,
doing
I think
I think it was funny. Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't mention that Moby Dick was a sperm whale.
Oh boy,
Blech. I just got a nasty taste in my mouth.
gross. Is that it?
Well, yeah, I only did 4 because the 7, 8, and 9 were all dick jokes.
So we're the
We're
first
number
4.
1 and 3, all prime numbers and even numbers too. Well, that's this week in soft history, Matt.
Well
thank
done.
you.
Me again.
There's an all-night party in room 7609. And you can dance together all night if you've got the time.
See,
Matt.
McDonald's Publishing.
Yeah, right.
And they
Matt.
said Filet-O-Fish.
Oh, I get it. So it had
And-
nothing to do.
Yeah.
And when they got out of publishing, they kept the Filet-O-Fish concept and they
okay.
sold a lot of them, so they were right.
Oh, thank you for that. No, I just wanted to tell Matt, great job.
Fake.
So,
Be safe, Matt.
I think he gave a thumbs up.
Yeah, be safe, Matt. Please.
it was,
Don't hurt yourself trying to write more jokes.
Moby Dick also did sell pretty well, by the way. So it's not like Herman Melville was wrong. But humor is not the only thing you'll find very low around here. You'll find rates
Oh,
rates.
yeah. How low are they?
That's a okay segue.
It's good. Solid.
Yeah, solid.
All-time lows. All-time lows. If your current mortgage is above 3%, a paltry 3%,
Yeah.
percent.
What should I do?
Well, you shouldn't wait. I don't know why you're waiting. You could be saving money. And currently at Hall Financial, almost 70% of all loans don't require an appraisal, which can be rather expensive. So call Hall Financial today to see if you qualify for a no appraisal loan. But if for some reason your loan does require an appraisal for the month of November only, Hall Financial is going to pay for it for you. That means you get up to $500 worth of services for free, gratis, nada, like the toy and a Happy Meal, or they don't get
or what?
Fishes, but you could order a fillet of fish for yourself, a copy of Moby Dick, and then maybe a Happy Meal for your kids. Believe it or not, closing times have sped up again. Right now, the majority of loans at Hall Financial are closing in 10 business days or fewer. Just go to our website and click on the Hall Financial link to get started. You can call my friend Dan Morrison, too. He'll help you out. That's what my buddy did the other day. You can find their number. You can find all their information at 248-308-5000 or at our website, where Hall Financial says lower payments, better options, and more personal attention are exactly what you're entitled to. And we agree. So thanks, Dave. We appreciate it. Room 7609. We are in our second month of taking your suggestions.
I thought you were going to say of this show. This particular show.
Are you still reading? Are you still reading from your column?
Oh yeah, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, right. That was 2-3 quick paragraphs. I was hoping that'd be a template for you in the future when you wanted to read from yourself or talk about your writing.
Here, I'm going to read from my column. Jim Harbaugh, I love you.
Did you notice how that flowed and how
Jimmy
quick that was, Mark?
Jimmy Dean.
The
Ann Arbor Dream.
I was hoping he would
for Spartans
take some notes, but
anyways, we are taking suggestions still from
He'd
listeners
give 'em.
for new wave hits covered by non-new
just play the
wave
fucking
bands.
song.
And this week, Dave DeWitt sends us a suggestion for Breach of Trust covering the Payolas, Eyes of a Stranger. right up until the end, that was a really good tune.
You know, like the crash ending? That was pretty cool.
I liked it.
Kind of felt like
I like the song.
It kind of felt like they were loading their van a little early for the trip to Medicine Hat or Moose Jaw or
Okay, next section.
wherever.
Segment. Sorry.
So, anyways,
Yeah,
Breach of
great
Trust,
song. Let's go.
Canadian hard rock band originally from La Ronge, Saskatchewan, covering the Payolas' "Eyes of a Stranger." Also, a Canadian rock
Ronge.
band from the western part of Canada. Other bands who have covered this tune include Queensryche, whose video includes "What Else?", "A Hot Nun." More derivative versions have been performed by The Offspring, Step Echo, and Serena Ryder, a Canadian chanteuse who may be the most appropriate appropriator since the Payolas classic won Best Single of the Year in the 1983 Juno Awards. And for those of you who aren't from North Windsor, you know that the Junos are kind of the Canadian Grammys, Oscars, all that good stuff. Now, in the 1980s, a synth funk band from Cincinnati called The Deal also performed a song called "Eyes of a Stranger," but it was a completely different song. Sean, do you know who was in The Deal?
I'm sorry. I thought we were moving on to the next segment.
Kenneth Babyface Edmonds and L.A. Reid.
Nice.
Really?
Nice.
So, the pride of Cincinnati.
Okay.
But the heart and soul of the Payolas were Paul Hyde and Bob Rock. Paul Hyde was his stage name, but Bob Rock apparently was Bob Rock's given name, and it was appropriately chosen because he went on to produce an amazingly diverse array of acts from David Lee Roth to Metallica to The Cult to Bush and even Michael Bublé. For a couple years in the early 80s, the band, meaning the Payolas, included Mick Ronson, who had played with David Bowie as one of the Spiders from Mars. So great new wave band, great new rave DNA, and a pretty good cover by Breach of Trust. So
good song.
Dave, thank you very much for suggesting that. We're still taking your nominations. We're running out of time for our covers, but you know what? This has been such a successsul gimmick that I think we may bring it back next year. Get back to some other stuff.
Extend it, please.
So we may.
I mean, you set the calendar. You don't have to say we're running out of time. You control the calendar. What do you mean we're running out of time? You can do whatever you want.
I must say my confidence has been shaken by some of the dissension I've had to deal with here.
He doesn't like pushback.
No, I guess not. We're running out of time. I control everything, but we're running out of time.
I just want everybody to come together. Anyways, that is Room 7609. If you like Room 7609, why not let people know by buying one of our super cool vintage Room 7609 motel keychains?
Are we running out of time for that, too?
No. Unfortunately, it seems like we will have enough keychains left to get us through the end of time at the rate they're going. That's just why I'm trying to push the product. We have some holidays coming up, and who wouldn't love a sweet keychain? Okay, I couldn't even push that one up. They're still pretty cool. If you would like to support the show, you don't always have to buy our merchandise. You can donate. And our deepest gratitude goes to Linda, this week's sole donor, although we did receive a $10 off coupon for Real Oyster Cult, which expires on Thursday.
What? Really?
Yeah. So if anybody wants that, just reach out to us.
I'll take it.
Mark, if somebody wants that coupon, they can send us an email at mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. How do they donate?
mlsoulofdetroit.com, just the website. Little donate button there. PayPal.
Okay.
Pretty simple. Very simple.
Keep it coming. We'll take it.
Or you can buy the merch at drewandmikestore.com.
Oh, yes. And you know what? We have our hoodies, our long sleeve T-shirts, and our beanies are in. They are on the website. You can still get plenty of deals on masks.
Apparently no double XLs, right, Sean?
Well, there's going to be a couple less because I have to exchange those now. I have to go back to the
because of the mistake.
Merchandise vault.
Because of the mistake you made.
There was.
Thanks for looking it up on your phone, though, to double check.
Well, he just wanted to see who was wrong. He's a stickler for the facts.
That's true, I guess.
There's nothing I like.
Thanks for the faith.
There's nothing I like more than giving away free stuff and then eating a shit sandwich in return.
I'll take these in the hope that I'll lose some weight.
Is it aspirational? No, I'll get them for you because we know how that's going to
No, I'll take these.
Hoodies, long sleeve T-shirts in all sizes. Beanies are in. You can get masks, gaiters, keychains, T-shirts, hockey jerseys, stickers, and signed copies of the Get the Bell Ready Kwame Sutra. Ding. Okay.
Always ready.
There we go. You can help the show by contacting our sponsors so they know they're not wasting their time and their money sponsoring the show. And once again, want to reiterate the Manscaped deal. Go to manscaped.com, make some purchases, send us proof of purchase, and we will get you information on how to dial in to a future show early next year. That's kind of a cool, one-of-a-kind thing. We appreciate it when you subscribe to the show, when you share the show, when you rate the show. And it's okay if you want to hate it, but we would, prefer it if you love the show. Feedback. And this one, I'm not sure. 1-star rating.
What?
On November 8th from Notorious Brew, who said, love the D&M podcast. Tried the latest episode and someone's phone notification was going off every few minutes.
Oh, that means he's talking about.
Super annoying.
You know what he's talking about, right?
No.
I think he's talking about the Kwame Bell. I think he thinks that's a notification thing that we can't control, as opposed to just hitting it whenever we want.
He
doesn't get the show yet. That's okay.
I
Give it another
assumed he
try.
had the shows confused.
No. I mean, I guess that's what it is. Just God, you know what? Next time, give us a 5-star review and then rip us to shreds.
Yeah, Notorious.
Please do that.
Jeez. Anyways, a week later, things got better. Joe Kennedy wrote to suggest Rob Crow's cover The Human League's Keep Feeling Fascination, adding, I moved to Minneapolis about 2 years ago, and listening to your podcast.
Where, from Massachusetts?
It's Joe Kennedy. Gives me a connection to home, Hyannisport, on the far east side, and keeps me up to date with what's going on in Detroit, Michigan. Keep up the good work. Maybe that's not how he sounds. And just last
Thank you, Joe.
Saturday, Mark.
I won't make fun of your name or your accent, but we appreciate it.
Mark in Tempe wrote, love the show and all of Red Shovel. First, a piece of business. You didn't give me the promo code for Manscaped at the end of the 11-4 show. Unless I missed it and was too lazy to rewind, which I was. So I need that for me to spend money to watch you guys on Zoom. It's Manscaped. Promo code is ML. That'll get you 20% off and free shipping for any amount purchased. He says, next in classic ML style, we'll get to the point. Cyrus, I have no idea who it is or where it comes from or if I spelled it right, from your sign-off has been stolen by Busta Rhymes on his song Strap Yourself Down, played clearly in the first 19 seconds. I don't know if you have access to Drew's forensic accountants to have them look at this, or if you have your own team of lawyers to pursue this blatant theft. Room 7609 is nice for a punk rap guy like me. A lot of songs I've never heard of, would have heard without it. I don't know any songs to request or suggest. I just dig the segment.
Same wavelength with you, Mark.
So way to go, Mark. Mark with a K. So it's a different Mark.
I agree with him, though.
Mr. Mark, any voicemails?
No.
Okay. So if you'd like to hear your voice on our show, you can give us a call at 313-288-9070. That's 313 Butterfield 89070, and leave us a message. We will play it on the show. Couple of last moments here. We are still waiting to hear back from State Rep Karen Woodset, who said Kwame Kilpatrick would be freed. We're still waiting for Kwame Kilpatrick to be freed.
Kwame,
We're still waiting to find out who our next president will be. Sean, how are you doing?
Doing okay. How are you?
Okay, I'm doing all right.
We know what Sean's working on because he read half his column today.
That's right. We're headed.
Yeah, that was half. Yeah, I actually read all of it. I actually read all of it.
So after being butchered by these clowns, I'm going to go see the real Chef Dave as Sean and I partake of the goodness.
Turkeys.
I'll teach you how to cook.
turkeys to get turkeys.
TheButcherySL.com. Red Shovel Network, please support our brothers and sisters on the network. Charlie Duff's No BS News Hour, the No Filter Sports with Eli, Denny, and Bob. And even though they savaged Brandon, I still recommend very highly that you check out the Drew and Mike podcast.
Wait a sec before Cyrus takes us.
There's just a few kids trying to find their way in this crazy mixed up world.
I'm just going to ask you this, Sean. If you lose your power, should you still try to work?
Yes.
ML doesn't think so. Neither does Brandon.
From what I understood, he suffered an incredible brain injury and is supplying power to the entire neighborhood by running in a hamster wheel. So we gotta give a shout out to somebody so civic minded
if you say so.
as Brandon.
I mean, that's still in question as to how much he was helping the neighborhood.
Yeah, this is the hate that we started off talking.
How about the end? How about the end? Where's the end?
It's a hardworking network. Okay, so I'm clear now. I just wanted to get Sean's opinion on a very important issue.
Yeah. My
This
opinion
is the
doesn't
end.
mean anything.
Yeah, it does. It was because it's on my side.
My manscaped friend, the
Okay.
end. Cyrus!
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Sure.
Take us out.
Can you dig that?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Back in my own apartment. apartment, I called the chief operator again. Only this time I leveled with her about the crossed wires on my party line. After that, I took a shower and decided to end a dull day by putting in some sack time. The last conscious thought I had was Rena's urgent voice on the phone. Ernie's crossed us. I can't talk now. I'll pick you up in 10 minutes. We're clear on load. I still didn't get it.
From now on, I will report with judicious restraint, leaving behind sensational revelations in favor of painstakingly accumulated uncertainties. And I know you will all come along with me on this slow, measured ride.